So good, so good, so good.
Everything you want for summer is at Nordstrom Rack stores now, and up to 60% off. Stock up and save on the brands you love like Vince, Sam Edelman, Frame, and Free People. Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you Rack.
All new drinks are now at McDonald's. With refreshers like the Strawberry Watermelon Refresher and the Mango Pineapple Refresher with popping boba. To crafted sodas like the Sprite Berry Blast with berry flavors and cold foam. Who knew ice cold drinks could be so fire? Try them all now at McDonald's.
Refreshers contain caffeine. Copyright 2026, The Coca-Cola Company. Sprite is a registered trademark of The Coca-Cola Company.
Ready to soundtrack your summer? With Red Bull Summer All Day Play, you choose a playlist that fits your summer vibe the best. Are you a festival fanatic, a deep end DJ, a road dog, or a trail mixer? Just add a song to your chosen playlist and put your summer on track. Red Bull Summer All Day Play. Red Bull gives you wings. Visit redbull.com/brightsummer ahead to learn more. See you this summer.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to this edition of There Can Only Be One, the podcast that puts together the all-star best-of playlist of your favorite bands and artists. How the heck are you guys doing? All right, we have a ton of music to get through because we're going through a very deep discography, one that we know you've listened to, dear listeners, because who hasn't heard songs like Somebody Told Me or Mr. Brightside? We're talking, of course, of The Killers. And here to join us, Joseph Whalen was back on the show. Dude, how are you doing?
Man, Jason, I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here. And talking about a band that it was inescapable. Like, you could not turn on the radio in the early 2000s, mid 2000s and not hear The Killers. Like, so this is one that for me, I mean, it's just one of those ones that I didn't have a super deep knowledge of their music, but the ones that you know them.
Oh, exactly. And the funny thing is, like, playing in a cover band, of course, everyone wants you to play some Killers songs. Everyone wants Mr. Brightside. Everybody wants Somebody Told Me. Like, there are songs in my set list now where it's like, yep, there's a Killer song there and a Killer song there and a Killer song there, because it always goes over well at the bars. And if the band isn't playing it, I guarantee you it's on the Between Sets playlist.
100%. And I mean, even then, like, beyond being a cover band, it's like if you and a group of your friends ever go out to karaoke, one person there while you're doing, whether it's in your group or outside of it, somebody's doing Mr. Brightside over the course of the night. It is absolutely happening. There's no escaping it. So yeah, it is one of those ones that when you are drunk, you want to hear some Killers, man.
That explains why every cover band ever has to have at least one Killer song in their repertoire. It has to happen. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to have 9 albums worth of Killers in our repertoire. As always, we're not covering any live albums or best stuff. However, we do have 2 different compilations on our sked today. One of them is Don't Waste Your Wishes. Now, this is a compilation that compiles a bunch of their Christmas songs from the Red Christmas EP and other Christmas songs as well. But because it's all in one nice, neat little package, we're going to go with it. We're also going to be covering Sawdust, which is a collection of their B-sides and unreleased tracks that were recorded kind of earlier on in their career. But of course, we start with the album that I guarantee you everyone has in their collection, Hot Fuss, released June 7th, 2004. The band is Brandon Flowers, David Kooning, Mark Stormer, and Ronnie Vannucci Jr. Hit number 1 in Australia, Ireland, Scotland, the UK, and number 7 on the Billboard 200. And the fact that it only hit number 7 on the Billboard 200 surprises the hell out of me because it's still getting played today.
Dude, this album is one of those ones that, for me, growing up, you knew the hits from it, but then it's like the ones that are even maybe the tier below the hits, like you still know those ones too. So yeah, like it's kind of crazy that it wasn't a little bit higher than that.
Yeah. The album is 8 times platinum in Canada and the UK, 6 times platinum in Australia and the US, 4 times platinum in New Zealand, and double platinum in Denmark. There were 4 singles off of this one. Mr. Brightside and Somebody Told Me both hit number 3 on the US alternative charts. At the 47th Grammys, the album was nominated for Best Rock Album, but lost to American Idiot by Green Day. Of course it did. It's American Idiot.
Yeah.
Somebody Told Me was nominated for Best Rock Song, but lost to Vertigo by U2, and was nominated for Best Rock Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal, but lost to Vertigo by U2. But then, at the 48th Grammys, Mr. Brightside was nominated for Best Pop Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal, but lost to This Love by Maroon 5. And All These Things I've Done was nominated for Best Rock Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal, but lost to Sometimes You Can't Make It On Your Own by U2, which means that the Killers got snubbed twice in the same album cycle by U2. But of course, I mean, that was a big error by U2. I get it.
Yeah.
But this album is a monster freaking album.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Like, this is one of those ones that, yeah, like I said, you have the ones that you just could not escape. Again, like, this was a time period where if you were in the car, you probably heard the Killers over the course. If you're driving for an hour, you definitely heard them once. You may have heard them twice. Like, this was one of those things that it was just inescapable. Like, they had such a hold on everything pop culture. And yeah, it's a tough time to be around when you're losing to, like, you have American Idiot by Green Day and you have U2, who were just, yeah, like, Vertigo is an absolute banger of a song. Like, it's a tough group, tough committee. Like, it is what it is. But yeah, this album top to start is just unbelievable.
And the fact that it's still selling that much in 2004, when of course people are heavy into downloading music and burning their own CDs. Like, I feel bad for the bands, but it's nice to see that some albums were still able to rack up the sales. So off of this disc, what did you end up going with?
This is one of the toughest decisions that you ever have to make, probably. I mean, you're looking at, like, Mr. Bright, like, okay, so just to give a window inside for the listeners as to, like, what is the process that I go through personally. And I don't know if it differs much from yours, but I take, like, detailed notes as I'm going through, because I want to remember certain things. And sometimes they're a little bit more sort of detailed. Other times they're not necessary. They're not necessary because Mr. Brightside, I just wrote, I mean, yeah, like, Mr. Brightside, like, there's not, what am I going to say about Mr. Brightside? Or Somebody Told Me, where I just wrote, yeah, I mean, just flipped it, because they're excellent songs. Like, there's just nothing that I can say about them that hasn't already been said. Smile Like You Mean It. Jenny Was a Friend of Mine. Like, you're talking about the top 5 songs of this album, just banger after banger after banger. And I went with All These Things That I've Done, because this, to me, and I very recently, Jason, had a TikTok thing where I was getting, like, through my algorithm, just everybody was just talking about how good this song is. Because personally, for me, I think that this is one of those ones that just does not necessarily get the love that it deserves, just because of the company that it's around. Like, when you're following up Somebody Told Me, like, yeah, that's a tough act to follow. But I think this is one of those songs that it is just, like, it is so cinematic in its build, in everything. And I think it's just one of those things that, for me personally, I just have such an attachment to this song that has sort of grown over the years. And yeah, I think that it's just one of those things that you got to help me out. Like, just the urgency that builds and builds and builds throughout it. Oh my gosh, man. Like, it is such a beautiful composition. And that's kind of one of those things that I'll get into as we go along. But for them to have had it, like, this early on, like, this is their debut album, to compose something like this, holy man. Like, you're talking about, like, this is one of those songs that you feel like you have a whole career building up to. And this is just, like, track number 5 on their debut album, after you already see Mr. Brightside and Somebody Told Me and Jenny Was a Friend of Mine and Smile like holy cow. Like, this is ridiculous, man.
I mean, I've grown a new appreciation for All These Things, just because my first introduction to that song, like, I wasn't the biggest, I never bought a Killers album, I'll admit.
Right.
You know, my understanding of them was always through whatever was on the radio. And then there was All These Things. And the biggest thing about All These Things is that I just initially remember it from watching the movie Southland Tales. And it's this weird scene where Justin Timberlake is lip syncing the song for absolutely no reason for some reason in this weird screwed up dream sequence part of the movie. It's a messed up movie. I'm good. But it's a major part of that movie. And I still don't understand to this day why. I don't. But playing this song live at a bar, you get the people singing along with you.
Yep.
Sometimes more so than Brightside, because of course Brightside is a little on the overplayed side.
Yeah.
Right? I love All These Things. It's a great sing-along. I had it on my short list though. Same with Brightside. Same with Jenny Was a Friend of Mine. But one of the other songs I do get to play live now is Somebody Told Me.
Yeah.
This one, I find it a little bit more aggressive and I find it a little bit more fun to play. And especially because of that little bass intro off the top, because you right up into that second octave level of the bass, and it's like, yep, no, I'm going to live up here for a little bit, and then I'm going to bring it back down. I love when a band kind of almost takes that Joy Division kind of inclination to ride up high on the fretboard of a bass and kind of live up there. There's a reason why the Bad Touch by the Bloodhound Gang is such an earworm, because of that initial bass intro high up in the second octave range of the bass guitar. I also like to play that song too, I'm not going to lie. But it's a fun area for the bassist to be, rather than just sit down and pedal on an E for a while. And I love a lot of the bass lines in this discography, and similar to U2, right? Where Adam Clayton doesn't get the love that he deserves for being such a driving influence on a lot of those U2 songs that became massive hits. There's a lot of bass work that goes in here as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you hit the nail on the head with this song, where it's just one of those things that, and there are so many songs that are like this, in that they grab you right away with that, and then it's so like it's full speed ahead the entire time. Like it is such a bop, and you just are grabbed right from go, because it's like it has that little whatever that quality is right out of the gate, that it's just you are hooked, like you're in for the ride however long it is. And yeah, I mean, you could speak to the more technical aspect of like the bass and all that, but it's just one of those things that you listen to it, you hear it one time, and you're like, oh, okay, well, this is different. I like this. This is going to be amazing. And it is the entire time.
You said this place was steps from the water.
We just haven't found the steps yet.
How much did we save?
Enough.
Enough to get lost?
Or you could book a stay with Hilton.
Welcome to your oceanfront room, just steps from the water.
The Hilton sale is on now. Book on Hilton.com or the Hilton app and save up to 20% to get the stay you expected. When you want savings, not surprises, it matters where you stay. Hilton, for the stay.
Wishing you could be there live for the big game, soaking up the atmosphere of the crowd. But too often, life gets busy, or the price holds you back. Priceline is here to help you make it happen. With millions of deals on flights, hotels, and rental cars, you can go see the game live. Don't just dream about the trip. Book it with Priceline. Download the Priceline app or visit Priceline.com. Actual prices may vary. Limited time offer.
This is a Bose moment. You've been there. Small talk's going nowhere, but then the Bose speaker kicks in. Music you can feel fills the room, and no more chat with Danny from accounts. Your life deserves music. Your music deserves Bose. Find your perfect product at Bose.com.
Sam's Town, released September 27th, 2006, hit number 1 in Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, Scotland, and the UK, and number 2 on the Billboard 200. Still not on number 1 yet. It is 5 times platinum in the UK, 4 times platinum in Ireland, triple platinum in Australia and Canada, double platinum in New Zealand, and platinum in the US. There were 4 singles off of this one. When You Were Young hit number 1 on the US alternative charts. And that song at the 49th Grammys was nominated for Best Rock Song, but lost to Danny California by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which means it was, it lost to Mary Jane's Last Dance by Tom Petty, really. And it was nominated for Best Short Form Music Video, but lost to Here It Goes Again by OK Go, which, you know what? That music video was pretty freaking cool. But your thoughts on this sophomore effort by the Killers?
Well, I'll be completely honest with you, Jason. Like, I was fully under the impression going into this, like, the only Killers that I had really listened to, the albums that I gave the most time to were Hot Fuss and Sam's Town, and beyond that, I had a bit of a fuzzy knowledge. I knew a little bit of day and age, but not that much. So, like, Sam's Town though is that album for me where you're building off of Hot Fuss, and that's such a difficult one to come off of because it's like, how do you follow up Mr. Brightside and all those ones? Like, that is just such a, they set themselves up in a pretty awful spot, in all honesty, because it's like, holy cow, how do you build off of that? But they did it. And I love Sam's Town. I love this album. Even the title, even Sam's Town right out of the gate. I love that song. This Sam's Town is a bop. I love it right from go. It is one of those songs that I just really listen to. I listened to a lot during the pandemic, weirdly enough. I don't know why. I don't know why that is, Jason. I don't think we have the time to get into that. But but this one, I mean, Read My Mind, just a beautiful tune. It builds, again, so cinematically, kind of has that sort of all these things quality about it. The one song that I discovered was The River is Wild, which has a great hook. And I wrote down that it feels the most like a song that if I saw them in concert, I could really imagine this being like dead middle of their set. And I would love it. And it'd be an amazing song. But then I would probably never seek out listening to it again. And Why Do I Keep Counting? I love that one too. That helped me get down, building an urgency. Like, Brendan Flowers is so good at like building a tension just in the delivery of his lines, like just in of the phrase that he's singing. Like, he just builds it so well. It's kind of the same feel as Help Me Out and all these things. So anyway, with all that said, Jason, I was not basic, or not as basic as I could be with Hot Fuss. I am very basic here. When You Were Young, like that little guitar ring out at the beginning, it's the same kind of thing as somebody told me, where it catches you and then you're hooked and you're in. And I also remember playing Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock, Jason, where this song was featured. And that was a very big fixture of my childhood, Jason. And so, yeah, no, When You Were Young, I mean, he doesn't look a thing like Jesus. I mean, oh my gosh, dude. Like, it is just one of those songs that I think, for me personally, it's one that I hold very dear to me. I listen to it a lot. It's on my workout playlist. It's just, I listen to it in everyday life all the time. Yeah, I couldn't not pick When You Were Young.
Working out. What the heck is that?
Come on, Jason. You can't tell me. You look at you, man. You're like a Greek god, brother.
You lie to our listeners like this? If by Greek god you mean the guy who lies on the dais while he gets fed grapes and does nothing else but drink wine all day, then yes, that's me.
You're Dionysus. You're the god of like the party, like the guy with the wine and everything. Like, that's
Done.
you.
Done.
All right, nice.
Gonna need some more grapes. All right. I mean, obviously, you know me, and most of my picks kind of usually live in, bass world, because naturally that's me. And I'm sure our listeners are like, oh, he's going to go for the bass song again. Damn right, I'm going to go for the bass song again. I mean, I had Sam's Town and When You Were Young on my short list, but for me, it was just a song that kind of lived in that driving eighth note bass rhythm, and that was For Reasons Unknown.
Oh, okay.
I mean, but there's another thing here too. Normally, the inclination when you get to a big chorus is that vocally you want to go up. You want to kind of like go up, but build it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't. They almost bring the chorus down a little bit in contrast to what they're doing musically. And I found that to be really ear catchy.
Yeah. No, I think the one thing that throughout their catalog, and I might not have caught it specifically on this one, but I'll have to go back and listen to it again. But the one thing that caught me throughout was just like, they are so good at sometimes subverting your expectations of what you're about to get. And it's like, sometimes it'll be a slow build into like this full speed ahead tempo change. And then other times it's something like that, where it's like, you're kind of going up and you're thinking, okay, it's building. Then they just take it down on you. And you're just like, oh gosh, okay. Like, I wasn't expecting that. But it's just about like them as composers, I think, is like, that's one thing that I did not necessarily give them enough credit for. They are so good at composing songs and sort of just change, like, just like those little tweaks that you might not see coming, and they do it so seamlessly.
Mm-hmm. Sawdust, a collection of B-sides and unreleased tracks, released November 9th, 2007. Hit number 1 on the U.S. alternative charts, number 12 on the Billboard 200. It is platinum in Argentina, Ireland, and the UK. There were 2 singles off of this one. Shadow Play, which is a cover of the Joy Division song, hit number 19 on the U.S. alternative charts. And I will admit, when I saw that they did a cover of Shadow Play on this, I was stoked because Joy Division, I mean, they're up to potentially be nominated into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year, Joy Division / New Order. I don't know if they're going to make it or not, but I mean, you hear some Joy Division covers being done, and you just realize that in a short span of time, they influence so many people.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Yeah. I mean, they're one of those. I mean, they're a band that I've not listened to much more than just the hits of them, but it's just like you can feel their sort of, I mean, especially like the Killers are a band that it feels like that new wave, and then the entire sort of like their influences can really be felt in everything. But the Killers, yeah, I mean, not surprising that they did go down that road, just given how much you could kind of hear the influence of Joy Division in their early sound.
Mm-hmm. Oh, especially in in the bass lines that are there.
Yeah.
I will say though that to me it is the second best of 2 covers on this album.
Okay.
Because the minute I heard their cover of Dire Straits' Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
That's a tough song to throw to a rock band and say, here, you're going to do this. Shadow Play I found to be a little inferior to the original Joy Division track. Right. I love what they did with Romeo and Juliet off of this.
I have to agree with you. And I will be completely honest with you, Jason, and the listeners as a whole. I'm sorry, I was unaware of this song before listening to this. Just generally, I didn't know, I know the Dire Straits. I did not know this song. And then so I was listening to it, and Jason, I mean, I was on this podcast with you doing an episode about the Wallflowers, and I will say, this gave me Wallflowers vibes.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I was like even in Brandon Flowers, because you kind of expect this a little bit of higher, a higher pitched kind of he's down, he's kind of more down, and it's kind of got that rootsy. It's got a cool guitar opening. I was really much in for that. That was a really cool closer to this album, this compilation. I guess.
But the interesting thing too is when you take a look at that, Mark Knopfler penned song, and the lyrically, it feels like something that the Killers would have written themselves had Dire Straits not written it first, because it kind of fits into the, fictional storytelling that Brandon Flowers is really good at.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's just kind of the world in which they've built, where it's a lot of these songs, and there's other ones on there where it's talking about relationships, jealousy, that type of the relationship gone wrong, or relationships in this case. I mean, who knows what the story is. It's Romeo and Juliet. Everyone kind of knows from Shakespeare, from everything. That's kind of the deal. But no, it's what they do. It's the world that they've created.
But yet, it still wasn't my pick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but there were 3 songs on this where I'm just it was a knockdown, drag out fight. And I will say, this is my favorite Killers album.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There were a couple songs on here where I'm just I don't know if I can choose between these. So let me lay it out for you here. Right. As a little, these are good too. Leave the Bourbon on the Shelf. Has to be mentioned because it was a really cool song. But the 3 songs were their cover of Romeo and Juliet, All the Pretty Faces, which for a while was actually the pick. But then I heard Daddy's Eyes.
Yep.
And I love how this song almost starts full tempo and then goes to a half tempo shift as the story is getting almost a little bit more personal, a little bit more downtrodden kind of thing. It's almost musically they're shifting with the lyrics as well. And I love that about this song.
Yeah. I remarked, and I mean, I think I read this when I was listening to it, that it was supposed to be, or it was going to be on Sam's Town, or was written for Sam's Town, just didn't make the cut, or it was released as a B-side to something. I could have seen that easily on that album. That would not have been out of place. It was such a great tune. Yeah. I'm fully in on that song with you.
All right. So what did you go with off of Sawdust?
I did go with Leave the Bourbon on the Shelf. I thought that this was one that like it just hit. Like it just hit immediately. It's like Jennifer, tell me where I stand and who's that boy holding your hand. Like that's classic Killers. Like that's just like right down to the fact that her name's Jennifer. It's just an extension of Jenny, who is a friend of mine. I mean, like this is what they do. They write these songs that are kind of like earlier in their career more than now, like tinged with that little bit of like jealousy and the relationships and like what's going on and all of that. Like that kind of is just that's the world that they've created. That's the universe that they set up. But I'm right there with you. Daddy's Eyes was on my short list. Ruby, Don't You Take Your Love to Town. I like the countryer, like rootsy kind of sound for that one. And it's not necessarily what I'm here for with the Killers, because obviously, like as we talked about, it's like kind of that new wave synthy pop kind of deal. But it's cool that they kind of go down that road every now and again, and you kind of hear Brendan Flowers in a bit of a different context. Romeo and Juliet, again, like that gave me the Wallflowers vibes. Tranquilize right out of the gate. That's a different sound altogether. I was okay, all right. And like Lou Reed on there too. I was like, all right, fair enough.
See, I'm still burned by Lou Reed because I remember covering the Metallica discography and Lulu exists. So
yeah, that's a bit too soon, eh?
Yeah, it will never not be too soon for that album. Day and Age, released November 18th, 2008, hit number 1 in Greece, Ireland, Norway, Scotland, the UK, and the US alternative charts, and number 6 on the Billboard 200. It is 4 times platinum in Ireland and the UK, and platinum in Australia, Canada, Germany, New Zealand, and the US. There were 4 singles off of this one, Human charting the highest, hitting number 6 on the US alternative charts. So now that we're back to, I guess, more original music, because the last one was a compilation of B-sides, your thoughts on this disc and your pick?
Man, this is where it gets into, like, I was familiar with 2 songs off of this, and I mean, I don't think it's gonna be like a spoiler to say that Human's one of them, and Human was one that I listened to a lot. Again, I got really into the Killers during the pandemic, Jason. We're not gonna unpack that. I'm just gonna address that was a thing that happened, and we're gonna move on. But Human, just from like, it's just such a feel good song. Like it's just like, it is like, there's no escaping it. Like it's just a really good tune, and one that I wasn't really familiar with until the pandemic, weirdly enough. And then Spaceman, that was another one that I had sort of on my playlist that I don't really listen to very often, but I'm aware of it. I like it. I'll listen to it from time to time. I don't know why I had trouble saying that, Jason. But anyway, this album altogether as a package, I really liked it. I really liked this album start to finish. And Jason, I'm going to get into the reasons why a little bit when I make my pick, and I tell you why. But I get to geek out over the fact that there's an instrument on this album that features very prominently that I played. So I get to be the person that gets to geek out over it. So that's a little teaser, Jason.
All right. Well, I'll go through my pick here because I have a fairly decent short list here. I had A Dustland Fairy Tale, The World We Live In, and Forget About What I Said. But I was not expecting to get the funk out on this one. Joyride was such a bop on this. Yep. Mm-hmm. Like the bass line's an instant bop, but it's one of those things where every now and then the Killers kind of let the keys take the front, right? Yep. And a song like Human, they absolutely do. I've tried to play Human live, and it doesn't necessarily translate as well as some of the others to a cover band kind of setting, unless you've got like full keyboards and whatnot. But Joyride, to me, I think could fit in any single situation, and you would absolutely bop to it. Yep, 100%. The groove is just infectious on that song. I even wrote that. I even wrote about the bass, Jason. That's how much of a bop it is. Well, you know what show you're on right now, so right? I know where my bread is buttered, Jason. Right. All right. So what did you go with off of Day and Age? Well, Joyride was on my short list because, Jason, as a former saxophone player, oh my God, dude. The saxophone on this album. Just like, I didn't expect it. I didn't know it was going to be a thing. And I ended up going with Losing Touch because I just really like this song. Like the saxophone adds to it, and it's got a great guitar in the closing section as well. Like I just was super in for the ride on that song. But then you have Joyride that brings it back.
You have I Can't Stay, where it's like the steel drums kind of woke me up, and then the saxophone turned it into a winner for me. Like it just completely, like I was kind of like, okay, yeah, this song's whatever. Steel drums, I was like, oh, okay, here we go. And then saxophone, I was like, automatic winner. Like, but it was so hard to top Losing Touch. Once you hear it, like I heard it the first time, I was like, that's it for me. I have to go with this song. But then like Human and Spaceman are also in there. It is just electric. Like I love the saxophone. And unfortunately, like it's a bit of a sad story regarding Tommy Marth, who like played saxophone on this album and with the Killers touring for this album and a couple of years after, I believe, unfortunately passed away in 2012. So rest in peace to Tommy Marth, but holy cow, he cooks on this album. It is unbelievable.
I love when a band gets to a point where they've achieved enough success and then they hit the studio and it's like, let's play. Let's see what we can come up with. Let's play.
Yeah.
Because that it keeps you out of a rut as well. So not every album and not every song kind of sounds the same. It allows you to explore and to kind of go down different paths. Like you don't want to be, I don't mean to rip on them here, but I'm going to bring them up anyways. You don't want to be AC/DC. You don't want every album to sound the same.
Mm-hmm. No, you're absolutely right. And I think and I think you hit the nail on the head, Jason. And like what it lends itself so much to the Killers, because you could have very easily seen like some big orchestral performance to like all these things that I've done. Like you could have like super expanded that. And so they were coming out with that, and like that's sort of fundamental to their sound, those types of compositions. And like it's very Killers-y, as I wrote a couple times in my notes. It's very synthy, it's very all the keyboards, the bass, it's beautiful. But then they get into these albums and you're like, they're starting to really go in with like, let's get the strings in the mix, let's get horns, let's get trumpet, sax, all of it. And it's beautiful. Like the results are unreal. And I mean, I think it's a big win for listeners as you kind of evolve with them. You get to hear that progression.
And I mean, I've seen performances by like a group like the Rock Orchestra, and where they'll take, rock songs and they'll, trim it down into like a string section with a horn section and drums and auxiliary percussion and make this almost like an orchestral kind of version of it. There's a lot of songs on some of these discs where I'm like, that could easily translate to a group like the Rock Orchestra and would go out really, really well.
Yeah, 100%.
Battleborn, released September 17th, 2012, hit number 1 in Ireland, Scotland, the UK, on the US alternative and top rock album charts, and number 3 on the Billboard 200, and it's platinum in the UK. There are 3 singles on this one. Runaways charted the highest, hitting number 13 on the US rock charts. Now, is it me, or did this album feel less like a Killers album and more like something you would have heard from like a group like Bad English or Alias in the late 80s, early 90s?
I mean, it definitely kind of like, as we've gone along, it kind of feels like the Killers sound is sort of, I don't know, like it's less consistent in terms of like what you're there for. Like you're kind of there for a specific sound. And it feels like, again, it's one of those things that I talked about where they do like to kind of, whether they do this sort of intentionally or not, they kind of do like to subvert your expectations a little bit as to what you're going to hear on any given track. So yeah, like I fully am in with you on that it didn't feel as much of like what had been established previously from them.
Yeah. And I'm not sitting here dissing groups like Bad English or Alias, because those two super groups were able to put out some really good music in a short span of time, and it was very much of its time. Battleborn feels like it would have fit in that time. So if you like Bad English or if you like a group like Alias, guess what? You're actually going to like this album, but that's okay. Cause I mean, that's something that doesn't necessarily get tapped into a lot as well. And the Killers, they seem to me to be a group that gets inspired by different eras and different songwriters. Obviously there's an album coming up where they were clearly inspired by Bruce Springsteen, So, but to be inspired by groups like Joy Division or the Dire Straits or a group that maybe comes across like a Bad English, like there are a lot of different musical influences in there, and they're not necessarily, not every song is Brightside. I get it. Yes, so that's okay. All right. So off of this disc, what did you go with?
Man, the top half of this album, you're kind of spoiled for choice. Like there's some good tunes on here. And then like later on, I mean, Battleborn, the title track, love the violins. Like again, like you're getting into the territory where we're bringing in a little bit of a different element to each song. Mass Atomic Bomb had that that cinematic build that they typically have in like one song on every album. It feels like usually multiple have like a very sort of like, you could see it even like Flesh and Bone. I wrote down, this feels very much like a pregame sports montage song, like a solid opener that just like, okay, now you're kind of engaged. You're in lockstep kind of deal. Like you could kind of see that. I went with The Way It Was because it just has a very nostalgic feel from the opening notes. It's a beautifully composed song on all fronts, I think. And Flowers, he said himself, with 2020 hindsight, he believes that it should have been a single. And I can see why. Like, I really like this song. I think it's a really solid tune. And then you have Here With Me immediately after that follows with the strings and the horns. Like, again, like you're bringing in a lot of different elements to this album and their sound. But yeah, ultimately I went with The Way It Was because it's just a good tune overall.
See, I kind of went basic bitch on this one. I went with Runaways.
Yeah.
I mean, as a whole, the album didn't fit with me like an album like Sawdust did, but I also had A Matter of Time, Rising Tide, and Battleborn, the title track, on my short list. But I mean, like, I go back to that era of like Bad English, right? And like that first Bad English album, there were some great tracks on that. Like,
right.
I guess I just wasn't ready for that kind of feel when I got to this point in the discography. And I mean, if you're ready for it, I'm sure this is going to scratch an itch.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, I think like it's an interesting thing to think about, like in terms of like, if you're like, for me personally, like I kind of fell off the Killers wagon, like after Sam's Town. So then it's like, you're going back and listening to it. And then you're kind of expecting it's just, okay, it's just going to be one progression to another. It's all going to kind of feel like that same umbrella underneath that. And it doesn't. And it's like, oh, okay. And then so you imagine what that would have felt like at the time when it was released, and then maybe what the reactions would have been if it would have been something a bit more divisive, like at that point in time. Like, I don't remember exactly. Like, I remember reading a lot of the album reviews on the later albums, just because I always get curious about like, where are people falling with, like, now that it's not necessarily like the peak of their career and peak of their success. They did that very early. It's hard to top Hot Fuss. And I think they've done a pretty good job of almost getting back there, but it's just a tough thing to do. But regardless, like, it's, you get into this point in your career, almost 20 years on exactly, actually, just about. And yeah, I'm always curious where things are, like, in terms of how these albums are getting reviewed. And it seems very favorable for the most part. And this one, I don't remember reading about this one, but I'm curious what the perception was at the time about this album.
It would be very interesting to go back and take a look at some of those reviews.
Yeah.
Don't Waste Your Wishes, released November 28th, 2016. This is a charity collection of Christmas songs, so I love the heart behind this album. Hit number 41 on the U.S. top rock charts, but I have to point out as I'm listening to this album, what the hell is Christmas like in the Killers household? Because I'm starting to worry.
Dude, I was like, man, what are we listening to right now, man? Like, some of these notes, I'm just like, all right, man. Like,
this is like your drunk uncle at Christmas who got a little too much into the sherry, and they're sitting in the corner going, let me tell you about my Christmas and my day. And they start pounding back a couple more shots of the shouldn't be drinking. And you know they're about to get into the vanilla extract because that's the only thing they're not cut off on. Like, I'm starting to question what December is like in Killer's household, but whew.
Yeah, this was so you read about like, oh, it's like, you know, all the donations that they're making for like AIDS and all this great HIV. It's amazing. Like, that's a beautiful thing to be doing. However, the songs are just like, what are we talking about here, man? But yeah, there's some fun ones on there. Not ones that I'm going to listen to at Christmas probably, but they're fun.
This would be like one of those like alternative kind of Christmas music channels that you get on Sirius XM, around the holidays, right? Because you get the traditional Christmas music, it's the Bing Crosby's and stuff like that. Then you get the modern Christmas one, which is just basically 24/7 Mariah Carey because she's been thawed, right? Yep. And then you have the I can't believe it's actually Christmas and probably songs like this.
Yep. And you kind of just. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with the uncle. I think that is where this kind of album resides. I think that's who the target demo for this album was exactly that.
All right, well, which of your drunken Christmas uncle's ramblings did you pick off of this disc?
Oh, man. Well, I had a cop-out answer, Jason. Joseph, Better You Than Me, because my name's in it. Elton John is on it. And finally, Joseph gets his own Christmas song built around him. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think that there's one that really exists. Like, he gets mentioned in them, but he's never the star of the show. Such is life as a Joseph, Jason. I
mean, what am I complaining about? I got a serial killer named after me, so Yeah, that's true. I guess Joseph at least doesn't occupy that space in pop culture, I guess. Right.
I guess is the win. But Elton John's on there. So, I mean, it's kind of like just a very depressing version of Step Into Christmas with religious themes instead of Elton John themes. So yeah, that's the one for me. I definitely wasn't going to go with Joel the Lump of Coal. And I did like the Cowboys Christmas Ball. That one was kind of fun.
It was fun, yeah. I mean, I'll admit,
fun.
The minute Joseph Better You Than Me came on, was like, I know what his pick is going to be.
What else? What else would it be? I mean,
right.
Don't Shoot Me, Santa. Like, holy shit, what is that?
Right. I had a Great Big Sled also on my short list with Joseph Better You Than Me, but I actually ended up going with Christmas in LA. This one, I mean, it actually kind of felt a bit more like a Christmas song, but it also kind of incorporates that fictional killer storytelling kind of vibe. Kind of like, I can't even remember the name of the song. I think it's like Christmas in New York or something like that, where it's just like, it feels very much like this downtrodden yet still hopeful kind of guy in a snow-filled kind of LA, a rarefied LA snow kind of thing. I can easily picture this one being played at some low key Irish bar, around Christmas.
It fits in more with the vibe of what you kind of come to expect. Like, because a lot of these modern day Christmas songs that are getting released are just like, there's not a lot of area you can cover that hasn't already been covered. There's only really so much you can do with a Christmas song. So when you're trying to come up with like a modern one and like a new idea, it's probably not going to be one that is going to get added to a Christmas playlist, but it's the noble effort. I think that, it's definitely the one that has probably the most legs in terms of it could find its way onto a Christmas playlist somewhere.
As sung by your drunken Christmas uncle.
This summer, serve up the Cookout Classics, Heinz Ketchup, and Kraft Singles. Every good burger needs a layer of perfectly melty cheese and thick, rich ketchup. We all know it's not a cookout without Heinz and Kraft.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
At first, I didn't think it was real. I woke up to this blinding light, and I was transported to another place. Pluto TV! Then I heard a voice.
Come with me if you want to live.
There were thousands of movies and shows, and they were all free.
The truth is our sin.
It's just so beautiful.
On Pluto TV, free streaming of Terminator 2, Fringe, Arrow, The 100, and The X-Files may cause excitement, loss of sleep, and sudden belief in extraterrestrials. No credit cards or alien encounters necessary. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
Wonderful, Wonderful, released September 22nd, 2017. It's the album so nice they named it twice. Number 1 in Australia, Scotland, the UK, and the US, and gold in the UK. 3 singles off of this one. The Man charted highest, hitting number 5 on the US rock charts. And what a bop to release as like that big single off of this.
2017 was a fun year for music. I remember a lot of good music coming out around that time. This one was not on my radar at that point. I wish it was, because this would have made summer 2017 was already a pretty decent time for music for me. This one would have been a very worthy inclusion.
All right. So off of Wonderful, Wonderful, what did you go with?
Man, I had a lot to say about this one. My notes are very detailed, a little bit more detailed than, as you can imagine, Don't Waste Your Wishes, which a lot to say about those ones, Jason. But The Calling, having like Woody Harrelson, like what? That was kind of crazy off the top. He's just doing that spoken part. That was kind of cool. That was on my short list. Rut has a really cool message, and it was written from his wife's perspective. Brendan Flowers, that is. She suffers from PTSD due to childhood trauma. So that was like a really cool vantage point to take. And like it's sort of outside of the realm of what we have sort of heard from, because it always feels like, even if it's not him himself as like the first person telling these fictionalized stories, as you're talking about, that are usually male sort of told from a male's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool. I liked that. I went with Run for Cover, upbeat tune. It was supposed to have been released on Day and Age, but it just didn't get finished in time. I think it was the second verse that he had said that was not quite finished at that point. And I am glad that they stuck with it and released it almost 10 years later, because holy cow, this song's a banger. Just a really good tune all around. So I ended up going with that one. It's solid album though overall. Like I did enjoy this. Like I thought because as we've sort of established, Jason, the last one was a bit of a slog to get through, and it's tough to listen to Christmas music. I think another thing that I should point out about the previous one is it's tough to listen to Christmas music in April. That didn't do ourselves much favors with that one, Jason. But but after that, we get back with Wonderful, Wonderful, as you said, the album so nice they named it twice. And I think we're back on track. I think this is a very strong showing, and I went with Run for Cover.
See, I think this is the first time we've actually matched up on this. I ended up going for Run for Cover as well. And again, this is because the bass is, for lack of a better term, it's holding the flashlight and leading the party all the way through the cave on this one.
Yeah.
But on my short list was a song about an event that happened, let's do the math here, 27 years prior.
Ooh.
Tyson versus Douglas.
Yeah, yeah.
And the thing is, I remember that boxing match. I remember like just how monumentous and how jaw-dropping that actual fight was. So to hear this kind of musical telling of watching this fight, it's a fascinating first-person account of a third-person event put to music.
I think that's one thing that really struck me as going through, like, and especially later on, and like these songs that wouldn't have heard again, like, unfortunately, for whatever reason, this was not on my radar in 2017. But then, like, as you go through like 2017 and then to the two newer albums, just the way that they tell stories is really, really interesting. Even if it's something that you are aware of, like you talk about this fight. I mean, this was a huge boxing match. Like, of course it was. It was Mike Tyson. And yeah, the other guy, I forget what his first name was, but
Buster Douglas.
Buster Douglas. There you go. I thought it was Buster, but I didn't want to say it too confidently because then I would sound like an idiot if it wasn't. Imagine if it was like Lester or something. I'm like, oh man. Well, now I sound like an idiot.
No, now you sound like that drunken Christmas uncle. I remember that Lester Douglas fight there. No, it was Buster Douglas uncle. It was Lester. I'm telling you, I was there.
I have to do something to beat the drunk uncle allegations, Jason, and that is the thing that I have to do.
Yeah, but it's not happening on this show. So,
but yeah, like so, and then like later on, you get stories from a little bit more personal stories, but still stories that you wouldn't necessarily think there's a song to be written, but man, they do it. And that one was a fascinating listen.
Mm-hmm. Imploding the Mirage, released August 21st, 2020. We have a member subtraction at this point, as Dave Cooning had taken a leave of absence from the band. The album hit number 1 in Australia, Ireland, Scotland, the UK, and the US top rock charts, and number 8 on the Billboard 200, and it's gold in the UK. 3 singles off of this one, Caution charted the highest, hitting number 3 on the US rock charts. And as I say with every, 2020 album that we cover on this show, I so appreciate the music that was put out during that time because, you don't have the ability to tour on these albums. So, you also don't want to sit on the album for too long, but I appreciate all the new art that came out that helped people get through a very ridiculously weird time in history.
I, again, want to point out, Jason, that I was really into the Killers during the pandemic, but for whatever reason, I wasn't listening to any of their new stuff. And I feel like that's a huge disservice to them. And I want to take this forum to apologize because I also was thinking about how you had brought that up when I think we were doing the Sloan episode about how, and I want to put out there, dude, were the Killers like the most like prolific, like just pushing out content during that pandemic era? Because like even like their latest album, Pressure Machine, that was like what, a 2021, 22 release? Like that is still very much like kind of in the midst of as that was all happening. So you not only get a 2020 release, you get a 2021 and then deluxe editions that were released afterwards that were like, I think 2022, but still like, holy cow, they put out a lot of music in a time where damn, did we need it? And clearly I wanted it, but I didn't know that I wanted it because I was listening to the Killers, but I wasn't listening to new Killers. And I think that I owe them an apology for that.
But it kind of makes sense though that, because as you mentioned, like when the Killers first came out, everyone was listening to Hot Fuss and whatnot, and everyone was listening to Sam's Town. So it's a kind of happier, normal time in your life, kind of
normal time.
Exactly. So you get to the pandemic, and there were actually stories that were being written about the idea of people going back and watching favorite sitcoms and favorite movies because you know how it ends, and you know that when you initially watched it, it brought you joy. So people were seeking for, sources of comfortable, familiar joy in an uncomfortable, unfamiliar time. So it kind of makes sense.
Jason, you and I can speak to this probably better than, well, you can speak to this better than I can. Do you remember that very weird time frame in which, and there was like that whole summer, more or less, like from March until like May, June, when the sports broadcasting companies in this country that we live in Canada, were broadcasting like 2016 Blue Jays games. And
I remember doing promos for like, let's rewatch the 1993 Montreal Canadiens Stanley Cup run.
Oh, let's do it. And like the entire re-airing of the 2019 Raptors championship from the year prior, because we needed something, man.
Yeah.
So music was that beautiful thing. And I think that, the music and then just the stuff that made you feel safe, that everything was going to be okay.
Yeah, it was a very, very, very odd time in music and sports and television and film. I mean, I just finished doing a major binge watch of the morning show. And, when you get to like, I think it's like the second season where it takes place as the pandemic is starting, it's like, I remember all of this.
Yeah. And at Superstore, that was one that I was working in a pharmacy. And that was one that hit a little too close to home when they got to the COVID part. I was like, I don't think I can watch this. This is too real for me.
But that being said, in comparison to the whole Killers discography, Imploding the Mirage, I think is kind of like my least favorite of their albums.
Ooh, okay.
And not for nothing. They do have some good discs out there. I found this to be the album where I was struggling to find a song that really kind of jumped out. I settled on My Own Soul's Warning, and I had Caution as a short list, but again, My Own Soul's Warning fits into that same cookie cutter pattern of things I like about the Killers, and most of it is just that driving eighth note bass line kind of feel. But what did you go with off of this disc?
Jason, we're in lockstep on this one. I went with My Own Soul's Warning because I was like, hell yeah, dude. Like the pickup in the tempo just hits. And this is just a strong composition overall. Like it's that triumphant feel that the Killers have. These guys, I mean, I have the one thing I will say, Jason, I loved this album. I was really into this. And like the one thing I'm going to add to that is, Jason, like as we've gotten on here, we're into like the latter half, obviously, like we're nearing the end of our run here. But dude, some of the gets that the Killers have on these albums, like Elton John singing the more religious Step Into Christmas. You've got Lindsey Buckingham just hopping on to play that solo in Caution, which ripped. That was sick. You got Katie Lang giving us some CanCon during Lightning Fields. These guys, and there's one more that's going to come on the next album that I was like, holy cow, these guys get like really cool people to feature on their albums. But I went with My Own Soul's Warning. That one I loved. Blowback I liked as well. Dying Breed, Caution, Lightning Field. Like I think the first four songs were the shortlisted ones, and then My Own Soul's Warning was my pick because I just think it's also Flowers' favorite from the album. So who am I to disagree with Brendan Flowers?
Right.
So I think we kind of have to. But yeah, and Imploding the Mirage, just to keep consistent with a theme that I pointed out a couple different times, I think. The title tracks on these albums are all like, whether it's Sam's Town and it's the first one you hear, or like it's very much later on, the title tracks are always really, really good. It's super consistent. And like the one thing about them is when you get to the back halves of the albums overall, like, and when you're listening to anybody, it's like kind of expecting, okay, like, yeah, the first 4 songs really strong. That's what hooks you in.
Yep.
Back half, you're kind of like, okay, all right. This needed to get to 11 songs or whatever. All right. I think that they are very consistent in that it's the Killers, like it's their sound. So whether or not it's necessarily your favorite song or there's that much to say, at the bare minimum, you can say, well, it's very Killersy. Like it's what you expect. Like they're here to do what they do, and they do it pretty well most times.
Yeah.
So I really like this album.
I think that's why I gravitated more towards Sawdust, because I found that for lack of a better term, right, is the double down of albums. And when I say double down, of course, I mean the KFC sandwich that replaced buns with slabs of chicken, right?
Yeah.
Because why not, right?
Yeah.
You know, there are hamburger albums where the meat is in the middle of the album. And then there are double down albums where the meat is the outside, the front and the back. Yeah. Sawdust to me was very much the double down, where it kicked off really good and it ended off really good, especially with that cover of Romeo and Juliet. Yeah. I found Imploding the Mirage did start okay, but the bun at the bottom got a little soggy.
Yeah, I could see that.
I can't believe I'm making hamburger analogies, but here we are. Pressure Machine, released August 13th, 2021. So Dave Cooney now has returned to the band, but Mark Stormer could not participate due to COVID complications. The album hit #1 in Scotland, the UK, the US Top Rock and Americana Folk charts, and hit #9 on the Billboard 200. Now, remember how I said that there was one that was very Bruce Springsteen influence? This is it. This is the album that I feel takes a lot of cues from the Nebraska album.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, you can definitely hear it in the sound. And even like I remember reading one of the descriptions of the songs as being like a very depressing version of like Jack and Diane by John Mellencamp. Like, and yeah, like it kind of has that Springsteen-y, Mellencamp-y kind of vibe to it that good on them. I mean, like, and we talked about it. Like you brought up Joy Division. I mean, like Bad English, like they very clearly take a lot of inspiration from a lot of different places. And I mean, I think that they've done fairly well at not only taking that inspiration, but then also making it something of their own as well.
Yeah. But I actually like to hear a band's influences in the songs that they write. And, you know, if a band comes out and says, well, we're inspired by punk music, well, guess what? Everything's going to sound like every other punk song, right? Clearly, the band is inspired by a lot of different artists and a lot of different styles, because you do get a wide cross section of everything throughout this whole discography. You get the folk, you get the funk, you get the country, you get the rock, you get the pop, you get the synth, you get the 80s. Like there is something for almost everybody. Basically, they're just missing the gangster rap.
Yeah,
in these 9 albums.
Hey, album number 10.
If they come out with a gangster rap album, we're sorry, Killers fans.
Also, I mean, it's a very I feel like this isn't important to add, but also like it would make it a little bit funnier is the fact that like Brendan Flowers is like Mormon. So that would add to it a little bit, I think.
Mormon gangster rap. It's a genre that needs to happen.
I think so. I think so, Jason.
All right. Off of Pressure Machine, what did you go with?
Yeah. So I had a bit of a hard time sort of picking out a song out of this one. It felt a little bit like it's like a concept album, like it's written about like their like Brandon Flowers' upbringing and maybe like the whole band's. Like I could be misspeaking there. I don't want to say something wrong. It could be just him, or it could be the whole band sort of upbringing. Regardless, it's a concept album in a manner of speaking. And yeah, it's a little bit tough sledding when you're kind of like, this definitely subverted the expectations of like, okay, yeah, new Killers album. What's it gonna like? Yeah, gonna be very synthy and very new wavy. No. So I went with Quiet Town because that was the one that I just referenced not long ago as being like the sad version of Jack and Diane. There's harmonica in it, which is sick. I love harmonica in basically any song. I am kind of depressed about the fact that Jason, Piano Man, makes no reference to the fact that there's also just a guy ripping harmonica the entire time. It could be Billy Joel really messed that one up, I think.
Because harmonica has too many consonants in it.
It's true. Yeah, it's a hard one to sing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, dude, and also like the story behind this song was written about two high school seniors that were killed in a train accident when Brandon Flowers was in the 8th grade. And he was like, 25 years later, I was still really affected by this train accident from when I was in the 8th grade. Two seniors from the high school were killed. I had seen one of them that morning. They had a baby. I was just shocked at how emotional I was when I started to write this verse. So like, that's heavy, man. Like, and I mean, this album is kind of that way too. Like, I mean, a lot of like that, the song that has Phoebe Bridgers on it, the Runaway Horses song, where it's talking about like the stampede or the horses, or then like the horse leg shatters, and then the person riding the horse like knows that horse is probably not going to be around a lot longer. And that's so, dude, like this is heavy. Like we're getting into like some really heavy material, but yeah, no, I think that this by the way, Phoebe Bridgers being on this album again, like just speaks to like the people that they're getting for these albums. Like, holy cow, man. But yeah, I did go with Quiet Town on this one. And yeah,
that is 3 albums in a row where we locked in. I had Quiet Town as my pick. Because again, this kind of feels very much like something like Springsteen would do. And if that's what you're going for, that's kind of, you know, once I read that this was supposed to be done in a Springsteen-esque kind of vibe, I was like, okay, I know what to expect. I had Runaway Horses and West Hills on my short list, but I found too with this album is that it started very Springsteen, Nebraska-esque, and then kind of evolved into a Killers sound. It's almost like they morphed from Springsteen into the Killers on the journey through this disc.
Yeah, the Getting By. By the time you get to the Getting By, you're like, okay, we're back to this is kind of very Killers-y, and then. Also, like on the deluxe version where they did like 5 different versions of the Getting By, and one of them, the Getting By 2, which I believe features a group called Lucius, which I was unfamiliar with, and I hope that I got that right. Just talking about it right now, I don't have it in front of me, Jason, so I'll apologize to whatever that group is if I butchered their name or just called them something completely wrong, like I almost did to Buster Douglas. But no, like. The compositions throughout are still very, very strong. Like it's such a just they're still going, man. They're still ripping.
Musically, they are solid. Storytelling wise, they kind of stand up above a lot of their peers, because if you're looking for lyrics that really hit, but from a fictional standpoint, you're looking in the right place here.
And the band was called Lucius, so I was right about that, Jason. I just wanted to
but it's still not Lester Douglas.
It's still not Lester Douglas.
All right, but now comes the time. So, Joseph, please remind our listeners what your 9 songs were from the 9 discs in this discography. And if there can only be one killer song, what's it going to be?
All right, I had to clear my throat for this. There's going to be a lot of talking here, Jason. I had to go through 9 songs. Hot Fuss, I went with All These Things. Sam's Town, When You Were Young. Sawdust, I went with Leave the Bourbon on the Shelf. Day and Age, I went with Losing Touch. Battleborn, I went with The Way It Was. Don't Waste Your Wishes, I went with Joseph, Better You Than Me, or known as Religious, Step Into Christmas. And Wonderful, Wonderful, I went with Run for Cover. Imploding the Mirage, My Own Soul's Warning. And Pressure Machine, I went with Quiet Town. And Jason, I tried not to, and I probably didn't do as good a job of it. I tried to hide the fact that I was kind of like really harping on like coming back to one song this entire time. I don't know if I did a good enough job of it. I hope I did. I hope I built some type of suspense that hey, maybe it's going to be The Way It Was. No, sorry. It's going to be all these things that I've done because, Jason, for the last month, that song has been at the top of I've just been listening to it over and over and over again. It has just been, for whatever reason, inside my brain. And also, I want to tell a quick little story of, Jason, when I was at the school that you teach at for editing, I was watching the Stanley Cup playoffs that year. And it was the year that the Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup, 2022. And, I love montages. I love sports montages that build up the hype. And then also it's sort of a tradition that after someone wins a Stanley Cup, there's another one for the entire playoff run. And I love that. That's such a cool thing to do. And for years and years and years, Jason, I was like, could they just do all these things that I've done? It would be such a great montage. And I was like, I need proof of concept for this. I need to make it. So I basically just ripped all the footage from the one that was made. And in my own time, I was like, I'm just going to put all these things that I've done underneath this. The beats per minute kind of matched up enough that it was fine. I was like, okay, this is excellent. And 2 years later, Jason, what song was on for the end of playoff montage? But all these things that I was so happy, Jason. It was the happiest that I've ever been because I was like, I was right about this. No one knows that I was saying this for years. I didn't say it anywhere or to anybody. I just did it on my own time. So it's kind of a useless thing, but I'm saying it now so that I'm taking credit for it from years back because this has been a thing that I've wanted forever. Like I got soul, but I'm not a soldier. That whole build, that's a playoff montage if they're ever. That's oh my gosh, dude. Anyway,
it's also a scene in Southland Tales, so
it's also that.
I mean, I get that. I mean, I know even myself. There are songs that I know of that I'm like, how has no one used this song in a montage? Like, obviously, I'm going back way number of years here, so bear with me, but I'm old. There's this song from Quiet Riot called "Winners Take All," and how has that not been pulled out for a montage?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like that sounds like I'm unfamiliar with that song. I should probably go listen to it to sort of be on the same wavelength with you, but. I mean, it kind of feels like, too, there are songs that have been in those that have been done quite a lot, including that year. There was one that I don't think I would ever be upset that it was the Blow It High Dough by the Tragically Hip. But also, that's like the second national anthem of Canada, and in part because it's been used so much on those montages.
I mean, still to this day, the Tragically Hip is Canada's house band. I get it.
There's not going to be I'm not going to dispute that that's ever. I was just like, can we please just get all these things that I've done one time ever? And now that it's happened, I'm done. Now they can use Tragically Hip and Blow It High Dough every time. And I won't say anything.
All right. So for my picks, from Hot Fuss, I went with Somebody Told Me. From Sam's Town, I went with For Reasons Unknown. Off of Sawdust, I went with Daddy's Eyes. From Day and Age, I went with Joyride. From Battleborn, Runaways. From Don't Waste Your Wishes, the Drunken Uncle at Christmas album, I went with Christmas in LA. From Wonderful, Wonderful, I went with Run for Cover. Imploding the Mirage, My Own Soul's Warning. And Pressure Machine, I went with Quiet Town. Now, it's easy to go back and pick Somebody Told Me because it's a big song. I love playing it. It's all good. But I'm still not over the initial shock and awe of hearing Daddy's Eyes for the first time. Wow. And maybe it's because it's brand spanking new. Maybe it's because it was such a knockdown, drag out fight from that album. Maybe because it was on an album that was considered by me to be the best. I'm in my opinion, it's the only one that matters, right? So
yes, absolutely.
I'm going with Daddy's Eyes. And I think more so because it's new and fresh to me. A lot newer and fresher than Somebody Told Me.
Yeah. And I want to remind you, Jason, no one's here to listen to what I have to say about any of this. So
Oh, don't knock it. Your milkshake brings the ears to the yard, let me tell you. I had to wait while he was taking a drink for
Why
that.
did you say it that way? Oh my God.
Well, we're not covering that discography yet. So on a
Not
future
yet.
episode of There Can Only
Yeah.
Be One.
After the Killers release their Mormon gangster rap album, we'll circle back to that.
If that actually happens, oh dear God. Joseph, thank you so much for this. Now, please remind our listeners what you've been up to and where they can find you out there on the interwebs.
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Joseph Whalen17 and on the X machine. I used to call it the Twitter machine, but it's the X machine now at Joe Whalen19. And not a whole lot, Jason. I've got some stuff coming up they'll be working on probably, but in the meantime, I'm just kind of firing off tweets about the Blue Jays and all those fun things, sports and all that good stuff. Jason, you know how much we love sports. We just devoted a very strange sort of left field conversation that I brought up for no reason at all into why the broadcasters in this country were playing sports games from 7 years ago during the pandemic. Anyways, we don't need to get into that again. Sorry, Jason. I'm
that's
just
okay.
talking about sports because that's what I do a lot of the time.
Well, when you do get that new stuff cooking, let us know, and we will pump it out on our website as well. And to you, our dear listeners, you guys know the drill. If there is an artist that you want us to cover on There Can Only Be One, or an album that you want us to cover on Spin, Shuffle, Skip, hit us up on social media at Only One Cast, or go to our website, notthatbadcast.com. And while you're there, you know what? Subscribe to the page, because whenever we put a brand new post up, you get notified by email immediately, so you know exactly when to get that show. Until next time, he's Joseph, I'm Jay, you guys are awesome. This is There Can Only Be One, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.
"300 Favorite Albums" with James Campion.
I don't think there's an album I know better front to back. I learned how to play guitar to a lot of these songs.
If I could pick one record to hand someone and say, this is what it feels like to be a woman, it would be this record.
You know, the engineer that was recording the album for us was a novice engineer. He was really the janitor.
The first half of these sessions for the album were totally improvisatory in the sense that they went into the studio and just dealt with whatever happened.
There was space that was left for these listeners to kind of discover it for themselves. That they would say, yeah, my parents listened to it, but I had to build my own relationship to it.
Happiness, good living, peace, love, rock and roll. I just feel like this album is such a wonderful translation of that concept.
People understood they were in a world historical moment, and it felt like it was going to last forever. In fact, the infinite spaces that they explored in The Giant Now is part of what made that explosion so huge.